Over the last 12 months, Mohammed Kudus' name has become more and more prominent in the footballing world. Starring in the Champions League and World Cup, the striker/winger/central midfielder has showcased his mesmerising ball control and elite athleticism on some of the biggest stages in sport. Now, as the transfer window comes to a close, it seems likely that Kudus will be swapping the Eredivisie for the Premier League, as West Ham look set to seal a £40 million deal for the Ghanaian. At 5'9" or 175 centimeters, Kudus has what I like to call the cannonball build. Whilst he's on the smaller side, shout out to all my Shore Kings, he displays elite athleticism, good strength on the ball, with the ability to explode from a standing position thanks to a superb combination of agility, balance and acceleration. He has a great top speed too. Just take a look at him burning Vinicius Jr. in a foot race in Brazil's international friendly against Ghana. Let's not go full gamma with the space and power stuff though. Whilst Kudus' strength and speed is of course a vital part of his game, what really separates him from other players is his technical ability. Let's start with his ball carrying. The biggest difference between Kudus and other dribblers is the Ghanaian's complete control of possession. A lot of ball carriers have a tendency to attempt all their actions at a full pelt. While this might make them dangerous in more chaotic moments, this sort of head-down dribbling prevents players from influencing the tempo of games and providing moments of control where necessary. Kudus, on the other hand, has the ability to dictate the pace of play as he sees fit. When the opponent is caught high at the pitch, such as in this instance from the Brazil-Ghana game I mentioned earlier, he is confident in pushing the ball out in front of him and evading challenges at a high speed to quickly progress an attack. But in moments where a sustained spell of possession is required in order to slow down a game, Kudus is also capable of what we see in this clip from Liverpool vs Ajax in the Champions League. Calmly controlling a high pass, putting his foot on top of the ball to invite a challenge, before dinking his touch over the opposing player at the last minute, circumventing the Liverpool counter-press and giving his team a chance to catch their breath and break up the opposition's momentum. What's key to his ability to resist the press and progress the ball is that he is not only technically gifted, but he is also incredibly inventive, using an array of body feints to disguise his actions. Let's use an example from the same game. Here, Kudus moves to receive the ball to feet in a midfield pocket, but is closely followed by Joel Matip. Recognising the space either side of him, Kudus takes a quick look over his left shoulder, indicating to Matip that his next touch will be in the direction of his momentum. Matip curves his run to cut him off, only for Kudus to chop into the space left and take off the other way. Of course, Kudus isn't hyper-analysing these moments like some big sweaty nerd. He's just got a great instinctual creativity that allows him to deceive his opponents. Kudus is also a very strong passer. His soft touch allows him to move the ball confidently in tight spaces, and he absolutely loves a reverse pass, but his best passes are typically crosses to the far post. A good example is this cross against Rangers. Kudus' teammate sets the ball out in front of him and he hits it first time, floating a lovely ball to the spare man, who then has all the time in the world to fluff whatever that was. It's nothing mind-blowing, but I think having someone who can beat players off the dribble and then find the spare man at the end of it in the box is a really dangerous combo. The one thing I suggest as room for improvement is that when playing his teammates through on goal, he needs to concentrate on putting a little more power on the through ball. It's not that his passes aren't accurate, but I noticed they often run out of fizz before the players clear the defence, giving the defenders time to recover and make a challenge. Now, let's move on to ball striking, and let me say, he can really hit that thing. One of the first things you notice about Kudus is the power that he can generate with relatively little backlift. His Champions League goal against Liverpool was hit with such force that Alisson didn't really even have time to react before the net bulged. He also has a superb timing to his ball striking that allows him to produce some ridiculous finishes. Take a look at this goal against PSV in the Topper, one of the Netherlands' biggest derbies. The PSV keeper attempts to punch the ball clear, but instead cannons it into the sky. Kudus waits patiently for it to drop, takes one touch to set it out in front of his favoured left foot, and hits one of the sweetest half volleys you're likely to see. Somebody please comment the Dutch word for "voor" below. He's not all sexy finishes, he's also got good movement in the box and regularly finds himself in the right position to bundle the ball over the line when his team needs it. And this is the thing about Kudus, he's so versatile. He's got the press resistance of a centre mid, but the creativity and technicality of an attacking midfielder, not to mention the pace of a wide player and the ball striking of a number 9, and he's a winning presser too. Now, I've been non-stop raving about this guy for the whole video, so I think it's only fair that I nitpick a few areas of his game where I think there's some room for improvement. One thing that sticks out to me, and will probably be the limiting factor on his ability to play striker in the long term, is the variety of finishes in his locker. So much of his game in the final third is at such a high pace that you'll frequently see him take a shot off balance that then cannons into the top corner thanks to his superb motor control. However, I think this may have led to some bad habits when setting himself up for a shot. A lot of the time, Kudus sets the ball too far and wide for himself, limiting his ability to wrap his foot around the ball and finish across his body. I'd therefore like to see him work a little more on how he prepares to shoot. A more careful first touch will allow him to hit any part of the goal he wants, making him much more lethal in 1v1 situations. The other major hole in Kudus' game is his weak right foot. Now, I always like to be careful when talking about players with a significant difference between their dominant and weaker foot, because, as I mentioned in my Lo Celso video, a lot of the greats have been one-footed. Kudus, however, has on occasion shown himself to be uncomfortable in adapting to situations where a right footer would be required. Take, for example, this miscontrolled touch against Liverpool. The ball is fired into Kudus from his left, meaning that he should be able to take the best touch with the instep of his right foot. Instead, he attempts to control the ball with the outstep of his left foot. Using the curvature of the outstep as opposed to the large flat face of the instep gives a significantly smaller margin for error when controlling football, and as a result, Kudus' touch balloons away from him. This may seem like a minor example, but it is a bit of a theme within his game. He just needs to become more confident in his ability to take on a first-time shot or play a pass in a key moment on his right foot, because he does tend to let those opportunities pass from time to time. Despite my nitpicking, I am incredibly excited to watch Kudus in the Premier League. I think West Ham fans should absolutely see this as a coup for the club. I'm quite surprised there wasn't more demand for his signature, to be honest, although some reports have suggested that his entourage is quite difficult to negotiate with, which would perhaps explain that. I think he absolutely needs to start an attacking midfield for West Ham. God knows they're going to be short on options there sooner rather than later. And I don't think it's going to be long before he establishes himself as one of the premium attacking players in the Premier League. Just try and keep him off the Betway app, lads.
If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Any comments, likes, anything like that is very much appreciated. I'm going to try and do this more regularly now. I did say that before, but this time I actually do have more of a plan too. I'm going to start posting stuff on Twitter. Recently I did a thread last week on Ange Postecoglou, and I'm just going to do it on players I like, stuff I like, whatever. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, please do come over and check out my Twitter, Aiden__football, FTBL I should say. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anything like that's greatly appreciated. Have a great day. Cheers.